So I've had these shirts sitting over here for quite a while, waiting for me to cut them up, and procrastination has kept me from doing this. But this shirt, for example, would be a medium. This was from when I was about 50 pounds heavier. And I was going to sell it, but I don't want to sell it. I love it. It's my Hanson shirt. So what I'm going to do is some DIY, cut it up and make it fit me again. So basically what I end up doing to these is cutting off the bottom hem, just follow around the whole thing. It creates a nice rolled edge, just gives it a different look than a regular t-shirt. I will cut the seam off, the hem on the sleeves, cut that off, also creates a rolled up sleeve. And I will do the same around the whole neck, cut that off. Now you don't have to cut your neck, your sleeves, you don't have to cut the bottom off. I just like the way that it looks when it's all cut like that. Excuse me. The main thing is to make it fit better, we are going to cut the back, and we're going to create we're going to kind of like weave the material together, I guess, so that it kind of cinches the shirt in. So to do this, I like to not cut any of my hems off before I do the back, because it helps keep it lined up centered, so I know that I'm cutting down the middle of my back, and then my slits are not in the middle of the back. So what I do is I take where my tag is and I kind of fold, and then I just kind of shake it down, and then I'll lay it on its side. And you want to match up your seams as best as you can, like your shoulder seam. And I also will take my hand through the armholes and go from one side to the other, so it kind of lines up so I can see straight through both sides. So that kind of helps me know that I'm lined up. And then you just kind of want to flatten everything out. And I'm not going to lie, I have done a lot of shirts, and every time I do a shirt, I get a little scared, because, I mean, you're cutting up a shirt that you probably love, and you're afraid it's not going to turn out. But I'll be honest with you, I've even cut some that weren't perfectly centered. It's fine. I mean, it's just gives them a DIY look that's something different, fun. So now that I feel like my shirt is lined up and smoothed out so there's no wrinkles, I'm going to start making my cuts. You don't want to go too wide, because you have to think this is folded in half, so whatever you're cutting, it's going to be wider than you would think. Because you're going to cut the neck out, well, if you are, I guess if you don't want to, you don't have to, but you don't want to go too high, because you also have to consider that the neck part isn't going to be there, so that you have a decent amount of space at the top. You don't want to go all the way up. So I usually start about like 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches from where I'm going to cut my neck out, and I make my first slit, and you just go for it. You just cut, and then you hope everything's fine. And you just basically, you want to keep your cuts pretty close to the same width, and I'm literally just cutting all the way down the shirt. They're not going to be smooth, it's not going to be perfectly cut, because you can't. It just doesn't cut so smoothly on this material. But it's okay, because we're going to pull all of this, and you won't even see, because everything's going to be kind of curled. The edges just roll in really nicely. So, I mean, you can see, and they're not even all the same. Like, I've got fat ones. They should, you know, kind of try and be the same, but I'll be honest, I'm not an expert. And it literally just freaks me out every time I start a shirt. Like, before I cut this, freaking out a little. So, we're gonna cut. Okay. So now once you have your whole back slit all the way down the way you want it, you lift up your shirt, And this is what the back looks like, which is like, what did you just do? Then you literally are just going to take it and all the way down. We're going to just stretch it, which I know you're like, you're supposed to be making it fit better. It will, promise. So I'm just pulling it to show you guys. And like for me, I wear a sports bra under this and feel fine, but if you're not comfortable with your whole back hanging out, you can throw on a cute little camisole underneath, different color, give you a pop of color through the back of your shirt. But yeah, as you pull all of them, you can see how they have, like, well, trying to show you guys, how they start to roll to where it doesn't even matter because they're rolled up perfectly. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and cut out my neck because I need to be able to do the top. So literally I'm just cutting right below the seam. And then like the shoulder part is a little bit thicker, so sometimes that's kind of a pain to cut through, but again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to stay close to the seam. And as you do this, I mean, it's going to be frayed, your edges aren't going to be perfect, but it's okay because again, you're going to pull this tight and it's going to create that rolled edge, so you won't see all the loose extra pieces. Yeah, so that's that. And then, boop, look, headband. No, I'm just kidding. So now the neck is out, so you can see, and then I'll just kind of pull around to stretch it out and create that like rolled edge. So now here's my new top part. And then see, like if this was a shirt, like this was a medium, so I want it to be smaller, so I'm gonna roll in my back edges. But if I was doing this with a small shirt that maybe I wanted to fit a little bit less snug, I would just leave the back slit open like this. And I could even take the slits further if I needed more, but I just like about the width of my like scissors when I cut it. That's about how far my slits go on the side. Next, I will cut off my bottom hem so that I can start the process of rolling the back. I'm not really sure, there's probably a proper term for what that is, but I don't know it because I, again, don't know what I'm doing. I feel like Nikki taught me or told me how to do this, and I think I maybe watched like one YouTube video, not even sure. I will say though, if you're gonna roll in the back of your shirt, cutting out the neck and cutting off the bottom hem makes it easier for how you have to tie off the bottom. And you'll see once I get to the part of actually rolling it in, I'm gonna struggle because I can never remember how I do it, so I it's trial and error. And again, this I'm just literally like following right on the stitch of the hem, and it will not be perfect. My edges will not be perfectly straight. I go up, down. It's not perfect, but again, it rolls. Or you completely cut off your bottom. That's cool, guys. So here you go, prime example of, oops, I cut too much. Honestly, that hasn't happened before, but it's okay because what we'll do is that will be part of my tie. So my bottom cut down a little too far, but it is okay. So here we go. I'm gonna try and do this where you can see. And it's, again, trial and error because I don't remember how I roll it in. But I'm pretty sure you're going to take your top piece and pull it under the next one. And then, see, it's the start that I always struggle with. I don't think that's it, guys. So the top piece, okay, so the top, here we go. Oh, let me see if I can get this to the right angle. This is probably going to be a terrible video, sorry guys. So your top piece, the first piece is going to go over the second one. And then your second one, you're going to grab and wrap it again. And then you pull your third one up through that hole, if that makes any sense. And then basically, you just keep feeding through. I really don't know if you guys can see how this is. But you're making a hole and you're just grabbing the next one and pulling it through the hole. I really don't know if this is translating well. But what's happening is I'm creating this tied track down the back of the shirt. You can see how that looks. I'm gonna start it again because I don't know. Well, look, it doesn't even come apart that easy. Okay, so we're gonna start it again. So hopefully I can get to a point where you guys can see this. So you take your top one and your second one. Second one goes like they just swap. Then you're taking that top one that was originally the second and pulling your third through the opening. So then this new opening, you'll grab your next thing and slide it through. And then this new opening, your next one, slide it through. And you go all the way down the shirt like this. And you want to make sure you do not miss any of your pieces because that would mess up your shirt. So you just keep feeding them through. Just like that. And honestly, sometimes I have to do this a couple times because I can't remember how to do it. I mean, you saw me struggle a little there. So then you get to the end and you just want to make sure that when you get to the end there are not missing pieces, that everything is done through. And then see, I've created this kind of like track looking thing. Okay, sorry. And since I kind of cut the bottom of mine off, I'm missing, like I would have had another one, which is okay. But basically what you do is you take your last two, which I guess this piece I messed up, I'm gonna have to cut off. It just can't live there. So your last two, you literally are going to cut them. Once you know you've gotten everything right, the edges look like you want them, or the wrap looks like you want them, you're happy with everything connected, you cut the last two loops and then you literally tie off the two sides together. So I'm pretty sure everything looks good here. I got all my pieces in there. So I am going to cut mine up. I'm just trying to make sure that I like how the top is, because once it's on, okay, so it looks like it's good. So I'm gonna go for it. Just cut them in half. And then you literally are just tying like knots at the very end. I do a double knot on one side and then I take the other side, double knot, language in this song. Got hair on my leg. And then I'll literally, you want to make sure that they're really tight. So I kind of pull from both sides. You really want it to be tight because you don't want this to come undone. And before I go too crazy tying it, I'll pick it up. So that's the back, just like that. And then my ends that I've tied off look like this. I have loose pieces. I'll probably tie each side 2 more times. And then I just cut off my excess loose pieces. And then I will cut the edge of my sleeves off. And I've actually had these on a couple shirts after a while, like they've come undone or like pieces came off. I've ended up just shortening a shirt even shorter after the fact and just cutting and tying off shorter. So there's always room for improvements. And if anything goes wrong, you can always cut off a little bit more from the bottom if you need to. But I found this is a really great way to save my shirts. So that's it. All that's left for me to do is cut the sleeves off. But, oh, and then my extra pieces. But yeah, just like that, boom, this shirt will now fit me a lot better than it did as a medium. And it gives it a very cute little extra flare in the back. And really, it's not even that open, that, you know, with the cute sports bra. I mean, you can't see much through there, but it's my favorite way to save old shirts. So hopefully this will help you guys save some shirts too. Thanks for watching. And if you do try this out, tag me, share with me your before and afters. I want to see how many people save shirts. I will talk to you later, guys. Bye.